All right, folks, we're back. Jack Posobiec, Benny Ray Harmony here. Human Events Daily, your headquarters for legal discrimination. You knew I was going to do it. You knew I was going to do it.
You know, we are the discrimination show.
Your discrimination station.
Rich.
Your discrimination destination here in Washington State. Your destination. We've got Rich Baris coming on, the People's Pundit. Rich is like, what are they talking about?
Rich, welcome to the discrimination show.
That's great to be here as always.
No, Rich, because we were talking about immigration and the immigration ruling, and I said, well, what if we? And Will Chamberlain was on. He said, what if we just ban pregnant women from entering? And Benny Ray is like, well, aren't the Democrats going to call that discrimination? I'm like, of course it's discrimination.
What isn't?
Exactly. That's exactly my point. But Rich, so I wanted to get you on because we're obviously a lot is going on, but the breaking news of the day has been the story about AG Bondi, just a couple blocks away from where we're sitting here in Washington, D.C. We've seen the politics of this. We've seen, of course, the ups and downs of her tenure at the Department of Justice. Wanted to get your take on it because we're seeing, that it's sort of the 1 year itch that I think is coming up with cabinet officials. It's like a year and change since the cabinet's been in, and you look at the confirmation process, it really is the 1 year mark. Do you think that's what this is, or do you think there's something more political going on here? Throw it to you, Rich Baris.
Well, look, I've got to pull no punches when it comes to the Attorney General. As a public opinion pollster, it's a little hard to point to a single cabinet member who may have hurt the president more than Pam Bondi. Nobody is the face of the Epstein files situation more than her. We've polled this, Jack. You've seen it. She's the most unpopular cabinet member in the administration. This is better late than never. I would have liked to see this earlier as far as just, the political side of this, what the president, needs to do in order to clean the slate, Jack. It is that 1 year mark, right? And we're going to see a lot more probably after the midterms, but that's normal. But Pam Bondi is, again, not just with, Democrats and independents. There are even a lot of Republicans who were pretty much done with Pam Bondi at this point. This is good. This long time coming, honestly.
So you think this is something? Now, that being said, though, we've seen a lot from the president. We saw this speech last night. This really was and by the way, Rich, this is something that, the president, when he goes big, he wants to go big. So you saw this big speech, this big moment that he gave last night. Now we're seeing Pam. So do you think that perhaps he's trying to sort of show some big moves from the White House that are really going to grab people's attention, and perhaps, just perhaps, he's trying to shift some of the narrative regarding the administration that, of course, we've seen in the media over polling numbers, Harry Enton talking about Death Valley yesterday, these types of things. Do you think he's trying to shake some of that off?
What happened to the 100%, Harry? What happened to that? That was quick, right? 3 days went from 100% historic support to Death Valley and the end of days, right?
Rich, what do you really think of Harry Enton? Don't hold back.
Come on,
Willikers,
Wally. It's just anyone from our neck of the woods knows a snake oil salesman when you see one. I don't know if I've ever seen one in this business where I am like Harry Enton before. He's like the guy in the corner selling the CDs we talked about, right? But basically, look, I do think the president's a showman. He knows what time it is. I think he has been feeling this for a while. He may say, some things. Look, politicians have to say something in public and make moves in the background. That's just the way it is, right? But I think the president, and I've said this for a while, even though I have been very critical and I've been not optimistic going into November, if anyone can do this, Jack, it's him. And he knows exactly what to do in order to shift. It's not like he doesn't, in order to make that shift, which needs to be a big shift. I just would caution, though, and say, I just hope we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Make some changes, do what you got to do. But, there's obviously we're hearing other rumors. Let's just hope we get this one today, and we'll see how it goes in the future. But this is a big step because Pam Bondi is the face of his the real sign of trouble, Jack, and his approval rating and in the coalition. Pam Bondi's the face of it. So, for anyone who wants to see or has been wanting to see what you're talking about, this is a good day.
Well, no, and we have seen turnover as well. We've seen Kristi Noem.
It happens.
She's gone out. Dan Bongino, by the way, who wasn't a cabinet member, but also extremely high profile. Certainly, again, with the base. And so, Rich, let me ask you this: do you think, in terms of calibration, assuming this is political for sake of argument, do you think this is calibrated as for the base, or perhaps more for that broader coalition of voters that seem to have drifted away since 2024?
Yeah, I think that's why this is so smart, because it is broad. When you look at the polling that we did, at the end of the day, Donald Trump is beloved by the base, Jack. I mean, they give him so much benefit of the doubt, right? This has to go toward the people who were new to the coalition and, loosely aligned. I wouldn't even say, they were dating with the Republican Party. They were flirting, right? You didn't even get to take them out to dinner yet. They came over in 24 and they were flirting with the idea. And Pam Bondi is, again, central to to their souring somewhat. So I do think it's to them, which is smart, right? The base is going to go along with whatever, because the base is different, folks, in that, like, when you hear arguments, no matter what, Democrats are worse, so we have to vote, right? That's a base argument. But for this move, and for people who are out there, and that argument's not good enough for them, that's for them. And by the way, I hate to say this, but some voters are more important than others, right? Some voters are always going to show up, others not so much. And this is for them, and that's why it's good.
And Rich, I don't know if Jack kind of already asked this question, but with your research that you do and kind of just with how much you're watching, we know some of these main issues going into the midterms that are going to be huge for voters. But, after we heard Trump's speech last night, what do you think people really care about the most right now that is going to be the difference maker, if you have any?
Yeah, that's why I do like to see him make big moves and pivot, because you can go out there and say we achieved our objectives and we won, even take the W and go home. But it doesn't help people pay their grocery bill. It doesn't help people pay their mortgage. So I do want to see the president shift into something else and start, the news, the headlines, they're constantly dominated by foreign policy. Foreign policy is number 7 on our ranked distribution for most important issues. It's gone. It's like nowhere near the top.
That's important. Yeah, that's important to know right there, that people, that's not their top.
So,
it's not.
Rich, are you trying to say it's the economy, stupid? The old, the old Clinton, right? James Carville, right? The old phrase, like it just comes down to the money. It's all about the money.
Look, it's important to note, too, who votes in midterms, right? Of course, it tends to be more older and more educated. And I hate to say this, but they were right. The USA Today had a piece recently, a couple weeks ago. And it was actually the female voter over 50 who was really swingy and on the edge. It was the economy for them. So, pivoting to the economy, and guys, I just stress this, it doesn't even have to be accomplishments. You just have to be seen optically as fighting for what people want, more so than the other side. There are things Republicans can do, even if they fail. If they get Democrats to oppose it, it can help their argument with those voters. Those voters will vote regardless, Jack. And if they feel like the Republican Party hasn't even tried to address those concerns, it's going to be a problem. Now, there are some other sides of this, with the low propensity part of the coalition that you and I have talked about. That's why I do like this move with Bondi, because accountability is important to them. That's actually number 4. Number 1, just so everybody understands, the economy and jobs. That's number 2. Inflation is number 1, economy and jobs. Healthcare, then it's accountability. Number 5 is immigration. So this is a way, I think the president in the last 24, 48 hours has begun to show like some signs that I want to move on. I want to do some other things here. And that's good.
Well, Rich,
going down to the Supreme Court, taking up birthright citizenship.
Rich, I want to make sure before we bounce that we do talk about the fact that you have a new book that is racing up the charts on Amazon with Joshua Lysak, our good friend.
Burn it down. That's the answer for Donald Trump. Just burn it down. And thanks for bringing that up, Jack. I mean, honestly, this will be released right before the midterms. It's a crucial argument about hoping to get people to understand the boomers will fall out of this electorate very, very soon. What do these other voters want? How did Donald Trump attract these younger voters in the 2024 election? And what happens if we don't give them what they want? All right, and the alternative's bleak. I mean, there's really two roads we can go down in this country, Jack. We have to pick the right one. The other one leads to Mamdani.
Well, that's exactly. It's MAGA or Mamdani.
Yep.
A lot of us have
MAGA
been
or
saying
Mamdani.
this. You've got to focus on the disparities in this country. You have to focus on the economics, and one of those is going to burn it down. Rich
Burn
Davis.
it down, baby.
Thank you so much, Rich, the People's Pundit, for joining us here on Human Events Daily.